and welcome back to BookTube with Amy. Today I'm going to be doing the Finish That Books tag. So I was tagged in this by Jess the Book Freak. I'll leave Jess's channel linked down below. If you aren't already subscribed to Jess, please go check her out because she is just amazing. I guess I have my Goodreads shelves and that's probably the only list really that I keep. I do have a wee notebook for BookTube where I've got a page for my Shelf Destruct books and a page for my I seriously need to finish that books that I keep updated also, just because it makes it a wee bit easier when I go to sit down to film like my catch up videos for those. But I don't list every single book that I read anywhere other than on Goodreads on my shelves. The way that I've got my shelf set up is I have it in years, and so I can add them obviously into that year and I can track what books I've been reading. I do record stats, but it's a pretty recent thing. Only a couple of months ago now, Simon built me my own stats platform because he's brilliant, and I track a couple of different metrics. So I track gender split between what gender of author I am reading from, because I always want to be reading from more female authors than I am male authors. It's a goal that I have set myself that I am always consistently hitting. I say this all the time, but it's pretty easy for me to read more female authors because YA fantasy is my genre of choice predominantly, so I have so many female YA fantasy books on my shelves because it is such a saturated market for female authors. I then track whether the book is queer or not, and so that encapsulates whether the content of the book is queer or whether the author is queer or not. I would count that as a queer book because I always want to be supporting more queer authors, but also be supporting books that have queer content, because I know that it can be more difficult for books with a positive queer message to be published. So I always want to read more queer books. And then I track ethnicity of author. So I track white authors, I track Scottish authors because I want to class my Scottish authors as separate. I really try to make an effort to promote Scottish authors on my channel, and so it's a metric that I want to keep myself accountable for, and making sure that I am at least reading one Scottish author a month to be talking about on the channel, because I think we've got some amazing Scottish literature that just is massively under pushed and, you know, doesn't reach the same heights as some other authors, and so I want to be promoting them and pushing them out on my channel. So I track that, and then I also track any BAME authors as well, and I would be like to be reading more BAME authors than I currently am. My stats this year are a wee bit skewed because I'm doing my I seriously need to finish this project, which is where I was trying to finish all the series that I had currently started or were in the middle of at the beginning of the year, and predominantly a lot of the authors of those series are white, and so I feel like I do normally read more BAME authors than it looks like I am reading this year, but I appreciate that that is skewing that slightly. I then also track whether it's a series or whether it's a standalone, because I am terrible for starting a series and never finish it, which is why I'm doing my I seriously need to finish this challenge this year, and I want to be reading more sequels in a series than I am reading standalone books, which at the minute I believe I am, so I am very pleased with that. And then there are some other things that I track as well, so I'll track my star rating amongst those so that I can see if there's a specific genre that's rating particularly high or particularly low for me, and then I rate my star metrics against all the other stuff that I say as I track as well, so that I can see what the breakdown of that is. I also track my pages read, which I only started tracking last month, and then I also track my DNFs, and I see how many books I'm DNFing, so I can see if, again, there's maybe a particular genre that I tend to DNF more, if there's a certain demographic that I am, you know, tracking that I tend to DNF from more. So that's what I track, and I do my stats in my last wrap up of the month. So at the end of all of those videos you'll find what my stats were for that month. That has been working, that format, and I'm getting some really good feedback on my stats, so I'm really pleased. So that's something that I will definitely continue to track through into next year. I've had some suggestions from you guys for some other stuff that I can track as well, so we'll maybe tinker a wee bit, but I have been tinkering with them month on month. The more I'm like putting more thought into it and deciding really what I want to track and what I want to get out of my reading stats, we have been tinkering with it, so we'll get them perfect at some point. So I guess I just kind of answered this in my stats question, but I do give my books star ratings. I rate 1 to 5, which is fairly standard. I don't rate books that I've DNF'd. I categorise them on a separate shelf on my Goodreads. I don't give them a rating, I count them as a DNF shelf, and I'll just talk to you guys about it in my wrap-ups as to why I've DNF'd. But every other book that I read I will rate. I am a weird rater because it's sort of about how I feel sometimes, more so than the book. Like sometimes there'll maybe be a book that I've read and I'll sit down and I'll be like, right, these are all the things that I absolutely fucking hated about it, but it was a 3 or 4 star read, and folk are like, but you just said you hated it, so, but I had a good time reading it. Like, and I still had a lot of fun, and I maybe really enjoyed the characters, and I really enjoyed the writing style, and so then it still rates a wee bit higher because of the feels. So it's very personal to me, my ratings. I know that some people have like a set list of criteria, like this would make it a 1, this would make it a 2, this would make it a 3. I am not that organised in my brain, and I can usually tell like a good bit into a book whether or not it's going to, like, what the rating's going to be, and it's very rare that that rating will change, because I just go on my feelings really. So if you're taking recommendations from me, I guess it's a wee bit more difficult than some other reviewers, because it's just about how I feel about the book and you might not feel the same. But I guess if we have quite similar reading tastes and we enjoy the same things about books, like I'm a really character driven reader, so if the book isn't all about the characters, then I'm going to enjoy it a lot less. If the book is purely plot driven, you know, I tend to like books that have really interesting magic systems. I tend to enjoy my horror a wee bit on the gory side. So if you have similar tastes, then you'll probably take a lot out of my ratings. But well, because we like the same things, which makes sense. But if you're new to my channel, I think it could be a wee bit difficult for you to trust my judgment, I guess, until you know what types of things I like to read and what I don't. Which, I mean, is shit for yous, but it's just how it is. So I do review every single book that I read on my channel. I review them in a wrap-up format, so I'll do a weekly wrap-up interspersed with the occasional vlog. If I'm taking part in a specific read along, then I'll maybe vlog for it. And recently I've been doing my vlogs, my Try That Trope vlogs, where I pick 2 books, same genre, different genre, doesn't really matter, but 2 books that have the same trope, and I read them, review them for you guys in a vlog format, so that I can then determine whether or not that's a trope that I like going forward. But other than that, everything is in a wrap-up format. I release wrap-ups every Saturday, other than one Saturday a month at the minute for my Try That Trope vlog, but I still review those books. I don't read anything and don't talk to you about it. If I've read a book that has maybe been by a problematic author, I'm still comfortable talking to you guys about it on the channel, because I will be actively telling you why they're problematic and telling you not to buy them. I know that some other people would rather just not talk about them at all, but I am happy to talk about the nitty gritty and why you shouldn't be supporting people. It's not something that I ever shy away from. I am quite an opinionated person, so I'm here to tell you it all, and I never hide anything that I'm reading or don't review anything on the channel. All my finished books are on my shelves. We are still waiting to get our library done, so everything is a wee bit higgledy-piggledy at the moment, but as soon as my library is up and done, then I will do like a wee bookshelf tour and I'll talk you through what I have on my shelves. Because me and Simon are both humongous readers and we have so many books, we don't have like separate shelves for books that we've not read, books that we're fancying, books that we have read. Everything is just alphabetical by author surname, and that's the way that it works. But I obviously keep track on my Goodreads as to what I've read and what I haven't read, and you know, unless the book has been completely and utterly terrible, I would like to think that I would know that I have read that when I go to look at it at my shelf. If it is a book that I haven't enjoyed, then we've got a box at the minute that's sitting to go to a charity shop, and I have just been flinging books in that left, right and centre because there has been like a power of DNFs for me recently, and that has been driven by my shelf destruct challenge. So it obviously goes to show that that challenge really works, because I have had books out of that I have really enjoyed, and I've had books that I've started and been like, this isn't for me, which is exactly why I forced myself to do that, so that I knew if there were books that I wasn't picking up, I was giving them a chance and then unhauling them, getting myself some shelf space and passing them on to somebody else who would really enjoy them. If they're books that are low rated by me and I don't think I'm going to reread it again, then I might unhaul it. If it's something that it was maybe low rated but I think that I would talk about it on the channel, then I'll keep it so that we can talk about that at a later date. So the way I've been picking my books recently has been a wee bit different from how I normally do it. I normally just come through and peruse my many shelves and decide what I'm fancying. Me and Simon will often pick 2 or 3 books when it comes to picking our next book, and we'll give them to the other person and be like, right, these are the short list, and we'll let them pick. For whatever reason, because we're both indecisive with so many books. And recently I have been doing my shelf destruct challenge, obviously, so I've got my shelf destruct books in my bedside table, and so when it comes to picking up a next book, I'm like, right, well, I'll pick one of these up before I'm picking up something else, and I'll give this a go. And then I recently just did my books that were on my radar to be reading in October, and so they're sort of feel in the forefront of my mind at the minute, so I've been prioritising reading those as well. But usually I'll just come through and see what I'm in the mood for. I don't, there's no a specific system, there's no rhyme or reason. I'm a mood reader, so I just pick up whatever I feel like. Other rituals for when I finish a book is, I mean, usually just talk to people about it, because Simon's a really big reader as well. Even though he has no interest in my dragony books and I have no interest in his thrillery books, we still tell each other every single plot point and all about the characters, and we'll talk about the books endlessly, even though the other person really doesn't care. But I guess we care because we date to each other and we both really enjoy reading. I'll usually chat to some of my bookish friends about it if it's a book that I think that they'll enjoy, and then I like to try and, I guess, film a wrap up quite soon after I've finished the books, so that I can have my thoughts and feelings out there, I guess. But I don't journal or anything like that. I did try that and it just wasn't for me. I didn't enjoy there being an additional task to complete before I could pick up my next book, to be honest. I did enjoy it while I was doing it, but it sort of fell by the wayside pretty quickly. I don't really leave written review of books unless they're indie and I'm trying to support them a wee bit, but other than that, that's it. I am going to tag Ali from Ali Does Read. I'm going to tag Becca from Read Becca. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you're enjoying everything you're reading at the moment. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!